Introduction. The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, Catherine Ponder. There comes a time in life when you realize that struggling for money, chasing opportunities, and living in constant fear of lack is not the way we were truly meant to live. Deep down, you probably felt it, that quiet knowing that there must be something more, something easier, more natural, a way to live where abundance flows to you rather than you endlessly fighting for it. Catherine Ponder, often called the prophet of prosperity, devoted her life to revealing this truth. She taught that prosperity is not a privilege reserved for a few, but a spiritual law available to anyone willing to align their mind and heart with it. Her famous words still echo today. Prosperity is your divine right. It's not selfish to want more. More peace, more health, more love, more money. In fact, she said it is your duty to express the fullest, richest version of yourself, because through your expansion, life itself expands. In her timeless book, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, she explains that money and success are not accidents, nor are they rewards given to the lucky. They are the natural result of thinking, feeling, and living in harmony with universal laws. When you change your inner state, your outer world must respond. You'll soon see how simple yet powerful these laws are. The law of visualization shows you how to mentally create what you want before it appears. The law of circulation teaches why giving, sharing, and releasing fear unlocks a greater flow of good. The vacuum law of prosperity reveals why you must make space, physically, mentally, and emotionally, for new blessings to come. And perhaps most importantly, Catherine shows how forgiveness, gratitude, and love are spiritual magnets for abundance. This is not just about money. Prosperity is a complete state of well-being. It means thriving in every area: health, relationships, creativity, and freedom. When you feel abundant inside, your life reflects it in ways you can't even predict. So, as we dive into these teachings, let them speak to that deeper part of you that already knows abundance is your natural state. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to struggle. You only need to align with the laws that have been silently operating all along. Before we begin, share with me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. I'd love to know the energy we're all connecting in right now. Now, let's step into these dynamic laws one by one and unlock the prosperity that has been waiting for you all along. Let's begin with one of the most important truths Catherine Ponder shared with the world. Prosperity is not a matter of luck. It is a universal spiritual law. This means that abundance isn't random. It doesn't come because of coincidence, chance, or someone else's decision. It comes because you're aligning yourself with a principle that has existed since the beginning of time. Just like gravity works whether you believe in it or not, the laws of prosperity are always at work. The only question is whether you're using them consciously or unconsciously. Catherine Ponder wrote in The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, "You are prosperous to the degree that you are experiencing peace, health, and plenty in your world." Notice how she doesn't just talk about money. She describes prosperity as a whole state of being. When you have peace of mind, when your body is healthy, when you feel joy and fulfillment, when your needs are met and your dreams are alive, that is true prosperity. Money is just one part of it, a natural byproduct of an abundant mindset. So why do so many people struggle? Why do some seem to have all the wealth and opportunities, while others constantly live in lack? Catherine explains it very clearly. Poverty thinking attracts more poverty. It's not just about your outer circumstances, it's about the thoughts you continually hold within your mind. She reminds us that our inner world creates our outer reality. If you're constantly thinking, "I never have enough, I can't afford this, life is unfair," your subconscious mind will treat those thoughts as instructions. It will look for ways to confirm them, and life will mirror that lack back to you. On the other hand, when you shift your focus, even slightly, toward ideas of abundance, peace, and possibility, you activate a new creative force. Catherine often quoted the Bible, saying, "As he thinketh in his heart, so is he." That means your life cannot rise above your dominant beliefs about yourself and your world. If you believe deeply that you are meant to be prosperous, if you truly feel worthy of good things, then your outer life must eventually match that belief. Think about it this way. Every invention, every business, every piece of wealth in the world first existed as a thought in someone's mind. Prosperity always begins in the invisible before it becomes visible. That's why Catherine emphasized the power of visualization and affirmation. She taught her readers to consciously plant new seeds in their mind, because the mind is the soil from which all experiences grow. She even said, when you realize that prosperity is a spiritual law, you stop chasing after it and start allowing it. That is a profound shift. Instead of feeling desperate or powerless, you recognize that you're already connected to the same creative intelligence that forms the entire universe. This creative force wants to expand through you. It wants to express more life, more growth, more good. And when you align with it, abundance begins to unfold naturally. Here's an example she shared. She once met a man who constantly complained about how little money he had. He would say, "I can't afford this," or "I'm always broke." And no matter what job he worked, no matter how much he earned, his situation never seemed to improve. Catherine asked him to try something simple. Instead of affirming lack, he began saying quietly every day, "I am open and receptive to unexpected blessings. Prosperity flows to me in perfect ways." At first it felt strange, but after a few weeks his attitude softened. He felt lighter. And soon, opportunities began appearing, small at first, then bigger. Within months, he received a better position with higher pay. It wasn't magic. It was a shift in his inner state that opened the door for new possibilities. This is why Catherine insisted that prosperity begins in the mind long before it shows up in the outer world. If you want more wealth, you must first feel abundant. If you want better health, you must first hold a healthy self-image. If you want peaceful relationships, you must first create peace within yourself. The law is always the same. Inner state first, outer results second. She often referred to poverty as a mental habit. That might sound harsh, but it's actually empowering. A habit can be changed. If you have spent years repeating thoughts of fear and limitation, you can also choose to repeat thoughts of abundance and possibility. Over time, just like a new habit of exercise strengthens the body, a new habit of prosperous thinking strengthens your life. One of her most famous affirmations is simple yet powerful. "I am rich in mind and in manifestation now." Notice how it starts with the mind. Rich in thought first, then rich in form. This is why Catherine Ponder's teachings remain timeless. They're not about quick tricks or shortcuts. They're about understanding how life really works on a spiritual level and aligning yourself with it. So, as you're listening to this, begin reflecting on the thoughts you hold most often. Are they thoughts of lack and limitation? Or are they thoughts of expansion and possibility? Remember, the universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you expect and believe. If this message resonates with you and you want to keep learning how to unlock these principles in your own life, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It helps us share these life-changing teachings with more people who are ready to step into their true prosperity. Catherine Ponder often said, "When you think of lack, you attract lack. When you think of abundance, you attract abundance." This simple but powerful truth is at the very heart of prosperity thinking. Your thoughts are not random. They are seeds. Every single idea you hold in your mind is planted into the soil of your subconscious. And just like seeds planted in the earth, those thoughts grow, take root, and eventually bear fruit in your outer world. Let's really pause and understand this. If you continually think thoughts of fear, fear of not having enough, fear of bills piling up, fear of losing what you already have, you are planting seeds of lack. If you dwell on resentment, jealousy, or guilt about money, those emotional states take root and produce experiences that mirror them. Ponder explained that prosperity cannot coexist with fear, resentment, or guilt because those emotions block the natural flow of good. They create a mental wall that stops abundance from reaching you. In the dynamic laws of prosperity, Catherine reminds us that our subconscious mind is impersonal. It doesn't judge whether a thought is good or bad. It simply accepts what you repeat with feeling. If you constantly affirm, "I can't afford this," or "nothing ever works out for me," your subconscious treats those statements as instructions. It then filters your perception and your actions to align with that belief. You will overlook opportunities, sabotage progress, and attract more of the same struggle. But here's the empowering part. You can also plant new seeds. When you shift your focus toward thoughts of abundance, gratitude, and possibility, you begin to cultivate a completely different inner landscape. Catherine often compared the mind to a garden. If you neglect it, weeds of negativity will take over. But if you tend to it carefully with positive, life-affirming ideas, you will see beautiful results. She wrote, "Your mind is a garden. What you plant in it will grow, so plant prosperity." This is why prosperity thinking isn't just about casually wishing for more money. It's about training your inner dialogue to consistently align with wealth, peace, and well-being. It's about choosing your mental diet with the same care you choose the food you eat. Just as your physical health depends on what you feed your body, your financial and emotional health depends on what you feed your mind. Now let's explore why fear, resentment, and guilt are so destructive. Fear contracts your energy. When you feel afraid, your body tightens, your breath shortens, and your thinking becomes limited. You focus only on problems, not solutions. In that state, it's very difficult for inspiration or opportunity to reach you. Resentment has a similar effect. When you feel bitter about someone else's success, you are actually affirming that success is scarce. You are saying, "If they have it, I can't." That belief shuts the door to your own prosperity. Guilt is another hidden block. Many people feel secretly unworthy of wealth. They think money is greedy, or they believe they must struggle to prove their value. Catherine called this the poverty complex. It's an unconscious pattern of self-sabotage that keeps people stuck, no matter how hard they work. Until you release guilt and claim your divine right to prosperity, you will always find a way to push it away. So how do you change this? Ponder gave very practical methods to shift your inner dialogue. The first step is awareness. Begin noticing the thoughts you repeat most often about money, work, or life. Are they uplifting or draining? Do they open doors or close them? You might be surprised how many negative statements slip into your mind each day without you even realizing it. Awareness is like shining a light in a dark room. You can't clean up what you don't see. The next step is substitution. You don't fight negative thoughts, you replace them. Catherine advised using simple affirmations that are easy to remember, such as, "I am open and receptive to unexpected blessings. Divine abundance flows to me in perfect ways. I release all fear and trust the flow of prosperity." At first, it may feel awkward, especially if you've been thinking in terms of lack for many years. But repetition is powerful. The subconscious responds to what it hears most often. Over time, these new ideas sink deeper, and they begin to feel natural. Another practical shift is gratitude. Catherine Ponder emphasized that gratitude multiplies what you already have. When you appreciate the good in your life, no matter how small, you activate a higher vibration. Gratitude is like sunshine for the seeds of prosperity. It makes them grow faster. Even if your current situation isn't perfect, you can always find something to give thanks for. A safe place to live, a meal on your table, the skills you already have, or even the fact that you're learning this truth right now. Visualization is also a powerful tool. Catherine encouraged people to create vivid mental pictures of the life they desire. Not vague dreams, but clear, specific images that feel real. She explained that the subconscious mind responds more strongly to images than words. So when you picture yourself living in abundance, feeling calm, joyful, free, you are planting that picture in the fertile soil of your mind. Eventually, the outer world begins to rearrange to match it. She shared many real-life stories of people who use these techniques. One woman who was deeply in debt began practicing prosperity thinking every day. She stopped talking about her problems and started affirming, I am prospering in all areas of my life. Money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. At the same time, she practiced gratitude for every small blessing. Within a few months, new work opportunities appeared, unexpected checks arrived, and she cleared her debt. The turning point wasn't luck. It was the change in her inner dialogue. Catherine also reminded us that prosperity thinking is not about pretending challenges don't exist. It's about refusing to give your energy to fear or resentment. When a challenge arises, you acknowledge it, but then you deliberately choose thoughts of faith and abundance instead of worry. She often quoted the Bible, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." This renewal is an ongoing process, a daily choice to think on a higher level. There's another key insight Catherine shared. Prosperity thinking must include goodwill toward others. You cannot resent another person's success and expect your own to flourish. When you bless the prosperity of others, you actually open the door for more abundance in your own life. She encouraged affirmations like, I bless and celebrate the good in others, knowing there is more than enough for all of us. This breaks the illusion of competition and helps you feel connected to the infinite supply of the universe. Remember, what you dwell on expands. If you dwell on lack, lack expands. If you dwell on abundance, abundance expands. It's really that simple. The challenge is consistency. Your mind may try to slip back into old patterns, but each time you catch it and redirect it, you are rewiring your inner programming. So as you listen to this, begin to shift the conversation you have with yourself. Replace I can't with I can. Replace there's never enough with there is more than enough, and I am part of that flow. Replace I'm unlucky with I am divinely guided toward my prosperity. Catherine Ponder's teachings have helped countless people around the world move from fear to faith, from struggle to ease, from limitation to expansion. And you can do the same, starting with the simple act of choosing new thoughts today. Catherine Ponder once wrote, Your imagination is the workshop of your mind. It's within this unseen workshop that all the seeds of prosperity are first planted before they can bloom in your outer world. The law of visualization is one of the most powerful tools for shaping your reality because it engages the creative faculty that connects your conscious mind with the infinite intelligence of the universe. In the dynamic laws of prosperity, Ponder emphasizes that every invention, every successful business, every home, every fortune began as an idea in someone's mind. The mental image always precedes the physical result. She explained that visualization is not mere daydreaming. It is a deliberate, intentional use of your imagination to create a clear blueprint of what you desire. Just as an architect draws plans before constructing a building, you must create a mental picture before prosperity can take form in your life. Why does visualization work? Because the subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between a vividly imagined event and a real one. When you picture yourself living in abundance, with genuine feeling and clarity, you're impressing that idea onto the deeper layers of your mind. This mental picture then attracts the people, opportunities, and resources that align with it. It's as though you're sending a signal to the universe, saying, This is what I am ready to experience. Catherine shared countless stories of people who used visualization to turn their financial situations around. One man struggling with poverty created a simple daily practice of imagining himself walking through his ideal home, seeing himself paying his bills easily, and feeling calm, secure, and joyful. At first, nothing changed in the outer world, but he persisted with the visualization every morning and evening. Within weeks, unexpected work came his way, debts were resolved, and he eventually moved into a beautiful new home. The shift started with an image in his mind. She often reminded readers, your mind is a camera. It records whatever you focus on and reproduces it in your life. If you constantly replay images of struggle, unpaid bills, and fear, your subconscious will create more of that experience. But if you deliberately choose new pictures, scenes of wealth, peace, health, and joy, your mind begins to reprogram itself. So, how do you visualize effectively? Catherine Ponder suggested some simple but powerful exercises. The mental movie technique. Each day, set aside a few quiet minutes to close your eyes and mentally watch yourself living in your desired state. Don't just see it vaguely, make it detailed. If you want financial freedom, imagine checking your bank account and seeing it full. Picture yourself paying every expense easily and still having more than enough. See the clothes you're wearing, the surroundings, the expressions of peace on your face. The more specific and emotionally real it feels, the more powerful it becomes. The Prosperity Picture Board. Ponder also recommended creating a physical representation of your vision. She encouraged making a prosperity scrapbook or vision board with images of the things you desire, not to worship them, but to stimulate your imagination. She explained that looking at these pictures daily helps impress the desired image on your subconscious. Act as if in your mind. Visualization isn't only about seeing, it's about being in the experience. Catherine wrote that when you visualize, you should mentally act as if it's already done. Feel the joy of receiving that promotion, the relief of financial security, or the excitement of achieving a dream. The feeling is what activates the subconscious. One of the key principles she taught is that visualization must be done with a relaxed, trusting attitude. If you force it or become anxious about when it will happen, you're creating tension, which blocks the flow of good. Instead, visualize with a calm, knowing that you are aligning with something that already exists in the realm of possibility. Catherine often referenced the biblical teaching, where there is no vision, the people perish. She interpreted this to mean that without a clear mental picture, life drifts aimlessly. Visualization gives direction to your energy. It turns vague wishes into focused intention. Another interesting insight she shared is that visualization is not just for acquiring material things. It can also be used to improve relationships, health, or confidence. For example, if you struggle with self-worth, you can visualize yourself speaking with confidence, walking tall, and radiating assurance. This mental rehearsal creates new patterns in your subconscious, making it easier for you to act that way in real life. She gave a simple visualization exercise for financial abundance. Sit quietly and relax your body. Close your eyes and imagine a golden light surrounding you, symbolizing divine abundance. See yourself holding a large, beautiful check with your name on it, written for an amount that feels exciting yet believable. Picture yourself depositing it into your account and feeling deep gratitude. Finally, imagine how you would use that money to bless your family, support causes you care about, and enjoy life fully. Catherine emphasized that gratitude should always accompany visualization. When you give thanks for something in advance, you're affirming its reality. Gratitude acts like a seal on the mental picture, making it more powerful. She also warned against scattershot visualization, constantly changing your focus or doubting whether it will work. Your subconscious needs a consistent picture to follow. If you plant a seed and dig it up every day to see if it's growing, it will never take root. The same is true with mental images. You must hold the picture steadily and trust the unseen process. One beautiful example from her teachings is of a woman who desperately needed a car. She didn't have the money, but every day she visualized herself driving the exact car she wanted. She even imagined the feel of the steering wheel, the sound of the engine, and the joy of parking it in her driveway. Within 2 months, a relative unexpectedly gifted her a car of the same model she had been visualizing. Catherine used this story to illustrate that visualization doesn't have to rely on logic or known channels. The universe can bring your good through many ways. Remember, the purpose of visualization is not to force the universe to give you something. It is to align your own mind with the energy of what you want. When you align mentally and emotionally, you naturally attract opportunities, ideas, and actions that move you toward your goal. So, if you want more prosperity, start giving your imagination something positive to work with. Instead of letting it dwell on fear or past failures, Deliberately feed it images of the life you want to create. Over time, those images will become more familiar than the old ones, and your reality will begin to shift to match them. Catherine Ponder summarized it beautifully. You cannot have a thing until you first see yourself having it. Visualization creates the mold into which the substance of life flows. So, take a few moments today to paint a clear, beautiful picture in your mind. See yourself as already prosperous, already free, already living the life you desire. Combine that picture with gratitude, and you will set the wheels of prosperity in motion. Catherine Ponder often reminded us of a simple but profound truth. What you radiate outward in your thoughts, feelings, mental pictures, and words, you attract into your life. This is the essence of the law of magnetic attraction. Prosperity is not something that randomly falls upon you. It is something you magnetize to yourself through the energy you consistently hold within. Everything in life is energy. Thoughts have energy. Feelings have energy. Words carry energy. And this energy acts like a magnet, drawing to you the people, opportunities, and circumstances that resonate with the vibration you're emitting. Catherine emphasized that if you dwell on lack, fear, or resentment, you unintentionally create a stronger magnet for more lack, fear, and resentment. On the other hand, if you focus your mind on abundance, gratitude, and possibilities, you activate a magnetic pull for prosperity and joy. Think of your mind and heart like a broadcasting station. Whatever you continuously broadcast, whether it's worry or wealth, hope or doubt, will return to you in the same frequency. This is why Ponder always urged people to pay close attention to their habitual thoughts. She wrote, "When you think of lack, you attract lack. When you think of abundance, you attract abundance." It's as simple and as powerful as that. So how do you consciously use this magnetic law in your favor? Catherine outlined several key principles. 1. Dwell on what you desire, not what you fear. Most people unconsciously focus on what they don't want. They mentally replay unpaid bills, imagine worst-case scenarios, and speak words of limitation. This creates a magnet for more of the same. Ponder taught that you must deliberately choose to dwell on the end result you do want, even if your current reality contradicts it. For example, if you're in debt, you don't constantly think, "I can't afford this." Instead, you affirm, "I am supplied in all ways. Money flows to me easily and freely." This subtle shift in focus begins to align your energy with abundance rather than lack. 2. Use emotion to amplify the magnet. Thoughts alone are powerful, but emotions supercharge them. Catherine explained that when you think of something with strong feeling, joy, gratitude, excitement, you give it a greater pull. This is why simply repeating affirmations mechanically doesn't work as well as saying them with belief and emotional connection. She encouraged people to not only think of abundance, but to feel the relief, the peace, and the happiness of already having it. That feeling acts like an electrical current that strengthens the magnetic attraction. 3. Mental pictures are stronger than words. While affirmations are important, Ponder believed that mental pictures are even more powerful. She wrote that the subconscious mind responds vividly to images, much like a fertile soil that accepts whatever seed you plant. When you consistently imagine yourself living in your desired state, whether it's financial freedom, a thriving business, or radiant health, you're impressing that image on the invisible creative substance of life. Over time, that mental picture becomes a magnet that pulls in physical reality to match it. 4. Watch your words. They're magnets too. Catherine often reminded her readers that words are not empty. They carry creative energy. When you constantly say, "I never have enough," or "It's so hard to make money," you're reinforcing the magnet of lack. But when you speak words like, "Everything I need is already provided," or "I am open to new channels of wealth," you create a magnet for opportunities and solutions. She advised to speak only the good you wish to experience. One of her most memorable stories was about a woman who constantly complained about her financial struggles. No matter how much she earned, it seemed to slip through her fingers. When she finally began practicing the law of magnetic attraction consciously, she stopped repeating words of worry. She visualized herself always having more than enough and began to affirm daily, "I am a magnet for divine prosperity." Within a short time, unexpected checks, job offers, and gifts started coming to her. She realized that nothing external had truly been against her. She had simply been magnetizing the wrong conditions through her thoughts and emotions. Catherine also explained that the magnet works both ways. If you're radiating gratitude, kindness, and faith, you attract people and circumstances of the same nature. If you radiate fear, anger, or jealousy, you'll draw more situations that reflect those feelings. It's like tuning a radio. You can't tune into a station of abundance if your dial is set on fear. The universe simply reflects the signal you send out. She suggested a simple daily practice to align your inner energy with prosperity. Each morning, take a moment to declare, "Today, I radiate love, peace, and abundance. I am magnetic to all the good I desire." Throughout the day, whenever you notice yourself worrying or complaining, pause and consciously shift your focus. Replace the negative thought with a positive one, even if it feels awkward at first. At night, visualize yourself surrounded by golden light of prosperity, attracting only good into your life. Another powerful tool she recommended is blessing. When you see someone else prospering, whether they have a beautiful home, a successful career, or great health, bless them silently. Say to yourself, "I rejoice in their success, and I know there's plenty for me too." This simple act of blessing dissolves envy and aligns you with a magnet of increase. As she wrote, "What you bless in others, you attract to yourself." Catherine also warned about the magnetic pull of resentment and unforgiveness. Holding grudges or feeling bitter about the past lowers your vibration and repels prosperity. She dedicated an entire section of her teachings to the power of forgiveness because it clears the energy field for good things to come. When you release old hurts, you free up mental and emotional space for abundance to flow in. She beautifully summed up the magnetic law by saying, "Prosperity is not something you chase. It's something you draw to yourself by becoming inwardly prosperous. When you cultivate rich thoughts, rich feelings, and rich words, you naturally draw rich experiences." So ask yourself, what kind of magnet are you being right now? Are your dominant thoughts and feelings aligned with abundance? Or are they stuck on fear and limitation? You have the power to reset your magnet at any moment. Start radiating gratitude for what you already have. Visualize your desired life with love and excitement. Speak words of faith and possibility. When you shift your inner frequency, the outer world cannot help but respond. As Catherine Ponder reminds us, you are always attracting. The question is, are you attracting what you want or what you don't want? Change the signal you're sending, and you'll change what you receive. Catherine Ponder often emphasized that prosperity is not static. It is dynamic, alive, and constantly in motion. She called this the law of circulation, a principle that reminds us that money, like energy, must keep flowing to maintain its vitality. In the dynamic laws of prosperity, she wrote, "When you release what you hold tightly, you open the way for more to come." This simple yet powerful statement captures the essence of how abundance truly works. Imagine a river. When it flows freely, it nourishes the land, supports life, and stays clear and vibrant. But if you try to dam it up completely, the water grows stagnant, murky, and lifeless. Money works the same way. When it circulates, when it's given, received, invested, shared, it keeps its energy alive and continues to grow. But when it's hoarded out of fear, it begins to lose its power. It stagnates not just financially, but spiritually and emotionally. Catherine explained that fear of loss is one of the greatest blockages to prosperity. When you cling tightly to what you have, thinking, "I can't afford to let this go. What if more doesn't come?" you are actually affirming scarcity. That mental state sends a signal to your subconscious into the universe that you don't trust the endless supply available to you. And as a result, you end up creating more experiences that reflect lack and limitation. She gave many examples of how people unlocked the flow of prosperity by practicing circulation. One story was of a businessman who was facing financial collapse. Instead of panicking, he decided to do something radical. He started giving away a portion of what little he had. He tithed to his local church and donated to a community project, even though logically it didn't make sense. Within weeks, new contracts and opportunities began coming his way, far exceeding what he had given. The simple act of releasing broke the mental dam of fear and allowed new channels of supply to open. This doesn't mean you give recklessly or without wisdom. Catherine was clear that circulation is about conscious giving, not wastefulness. When you give with a heart full of gratitude, you're affirming that you live in a universe of plenty. You're saying, I trust that what I give comes back to me multiplied. That trust creates an energetic space for more abundance to return. She also taught that circulation applies beyond money. It applies to time, kindness, encouragement, and even ideas. When you share your talents and help others without fear of losing something, you actually expand your own capacity to receive. She wrote, whatever you give to life, life returns to you in greater measure. One of her favorite prosperity practices was tithing, giving a percentage of your income to a spiritual or uplifting cause. She believed tithing was a way of acknowledging that all supply comes from a higher source. It's not about paying for blessings. It's about affirming the flow of abundance. Many of her readers reported miraculous turnarounds in their finances after starting a simple tithing habit, even when they thought they couldn't afford it. Another aspect of the law of circulation is how it changes your relationship with money emotionally. When you release money with fear, paying bills grudgingly, for example, you reinforce the feeling of lack. But when you pay bills with gratitude, saying, I'm thankful for the service this brought me, and I know more is coming, you keep the flow alive. Catherine suggested blessing every check you send out or every dollar you spend, seeing it as a seed planted that will return multiplied. She even addressed the fear of spending on yourself. Many people feel guilty about investing in their own joy, education, or well-being. But Catherine reminded her readers that prosperity includes peace of mind, health, beauty, and happiness. When you allow yourself to enjoy life without guilt, you affirm that you're worthy of good things, and the universe reflects that belief by sending more. Real-life examples from her teachings illustrate this beautifully. One woman, struggling with constant money problems, began a simple circulation practice. She set aside a small portion of her income to give to charity each month, even when it felt uncomfortable. She also began blessing every dollar she spent, silently saying, I release this with love, knowing it returns to me multiplied. Within months, unexpected refunds, new job opportunities, and gifts started coming into her life. What changed wasn't the external world. It was her inner relationship with money. Catherine also warned against the opposite of circulation, hoarding. She wrote that hoarding creates a vibration of fear and mistrust. When you stockpile excessively, refusing to share or invest, you signal to life that you don't believe more will come. Over time, that mindset can actually repel new opportunities and create the very scarcity you fear. To align yourself with the law of circulation, she suggested these simple practices. Give something every week. It doesn't have to be large. It could be a donation, a kind word, or even a helpful idea. The act of giving keeps your energy open. Bless your bills. Instead of dreading expenses, view them as proof of abundance. Say, I am grateful for the service this provided, and I know more supply is already on its way. Invest in yourself. Don't postpone your growth or well-being out of fear. When you invest in education, health, or personal development, you expand your capacity to give and receive. Share your talents, volunteer your time, mentor someone, or simply spread kindness. Circulation is not just about money. It's about letting the good within you flow outward. One of Catherine's most powerful affirmations for circulation is, "Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I circulate." When you say this with belief, you're acknowledging the endless loop of giving and receiving that keeps prosperity alive. It reminds you that money is never truly gone. It simply moves through different hands, always returning to you in some form. Ultimately, the law of circulation teaches that you can't outgive the universe. The more you release with love and trust, the more you open the channel for greater blessings. It's like breathing. You can't just inhale and hold your breath forever. You must exhale to make room for the next breath. In the same way, you must let money and resources flow outward to allow fresh supply to come in. So take a moment to reflect. Are you holding on too tightly, afraid to let anything leave your hands? Or are you moving with the rhythm of life, trusting that whatever you give returns multiplied? Catherine Ponder's wisdom reminds us that the universe loves movement, and when you align with its flow, prosperity becomes as natural as the air you breathe. Catherine Ponder devoted an entire chapter of the dynamic laws of prosperity to what she called one of the most overlooked yet powerful prosperity practices, forgiveness. She wrote, "Forgiveness is a mental tool to clear away old energy and make room for new blessings." At first glance, forgiveness might seem unrelated to money or success, but Catherine explained that resentment, guilt, and unresolved anger create invisible walls that block the flow of good into your life. When you hold on to resentment, whether it's toward a person, an experience, or even yourself, you are energetically tied to the past. It's like dragging heavy chains everywhere you go. These unresolved emotions occupy mental space, leaving little room for new opportunities and blessings to enter. Catherine compared unforgiveness to a clogged pipeline. No matter how much prosperity the universe is trying to send, it cannot flow through because the channel is blocked. She also addressed how unforgiveness can show up in very subtle ways. Maybe you're angry at a former employer who didn't treat you fairly. Maybe you're silently resentful of someone who owes you money or a business deal that went wrong. Perhaps you feel guilt over your own past financial mistakes, replaying those failures over and over. Whatever the case, those emotions create a vibrational signal of lack, struggle, and distrust. And, as she often reminded her readers, what you radiate outward in your thoughts and feelings, you attract back into your life. Catherine gave a striking example of a woman who was struggling financially for years. This woman felt deeply wronged by a former business partner who had cheated her out of a large sum of money. Even though she tried affirmations and prosperity practices, nothing seemed to work. After attending one of Catherine's talks, she decided to try the forgiveness process Catherine suggested. Every day, she repeated a simple prayer. "I fully and freely forgive you. I release you and I let you go. I am free and you are free. All things are clear between us now and forever." Within a few weeks, the woman not only felt lighter emotionally, but she also received an unexpected payment from a completely unrelated source, enough to cover the loss she had carried for so long. Catherine explained that it wasn't magic. It was simply the clearing of blocked energy that allowed new channels of supply to open. Forgiveness doesn't mean you condone wrongdoing or pretend that hurtful actions were okay. It doesn't mean you have to reconnect with toxic people. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional prison of resentment. Catherine reminded readers that holding a grudge keeps you mentally and spiritually entangled with the very person or situation you want to move beyond. True forgiveness cuts that cord, releasing both you and them from the grip of the past. She offered practical ways to bring forgiveness into your prosperity practice. Daily forgiveness prayer. Catherine recommended setting aside a few minutes each day to mentally review anyone or anything you feel tension about. Then silently affirm, "I fully and freely forgive everything and everyone in my past and present who needs forgiveness. I also forgive myself for all past mistakes. I now bless all that has ever hurt me. I am free, and all others are free. All is well between us now." Blessing financial wrongs. If someone owes you money or you feel cheated in a financial matter, instead of replaying the pain, affirm, I bless you and release you to your highest good. I know that God is my unfailing source, and what is mine by divine right cannot be taken from me. This shifts your focus from the person who wronged you to the infinite supply that can restore and even multiply what was lost. Self-forgiveness ritual. Many people secretly hold anger toward themselves for bad decisions or missed opportunities. Catherine taught that self-condemnation is one of the biggest blocks to prosperity. She suggested standing in front of a mirror and saying, I forgive myself for all past mistakes. I now see myself as worthy, capable, and deserving of all good. I lovingly release the past and open my heart to receive new blessings. Forgiveness, she emphasized, is not a one-time event, but a process. Sometimes you have to forgive the same situation many times until the emotional charge is gone. And every time you do, you lighten your inner world, creating more space for new opportunities, ideas, and abundance to flow in. Catherine also pointed out that forgiveness is deeply tied to circulation. When you refuse to forgive, you're holding on tightly to negative energy, just like hoarding money or clinging to old possessions. That mental grip signals fear and scarcity, which attracts more of the same. But when you forgive, you release stagnant energy and allow the law of circulation to restore balance. She often quoted another powerful affirmation. I am a forgiving person, and I forgive quickly, easily, and completely. Divine love makes all things new. I am free to prosper. The connection between forgiveness and prosperity is simple but profound. You cannot fully receive new blessings while clutching old hurts. Forgiveness clears the mental and emotional clutter that blocks your good. It restores inner peace, which is the true foundation of prosperity. As Catherine wrote, when you are at peace within yourself and with others, you open the floodgates of abundance in your life. She shared another story of a man who held deep resentment toward his parents for how they handled family finances. He believed their mistakes had ruined his chances of success. After reading Catherine's chapter on forgiveness, he began a simple daily practice of blessing his parents and affirming their highest good. He didn't even tell them he was doing it. But within months, he noticed a dramatic shift, not only in his emotional state, but in his financial life. New clients and partnerships came to him effortlessly. He realized that by forgiving his parents, he had freed himself from an invisible vow of lack he'd been carrying for years. Forgiveness doesn't just heal the past, it rewires your future. When you release resentment, you naturally raise your vibration, making you a magnet for better experiences. You begin to see opportunities instead of obstacles. You feel lighter, more creative, and more receptive to the flow of good around you. So, take a quiet moment and ask yourself, who or what am I still holding resentment toward? Is there someone who still lives rent-free in my mind? Is there a past financial mistake or loss I haven't forgiven myself for? Remember, you're not doing this for them. You're doing it for you. Because as Catherine Ponder taught, forgiveness isn't about the past. It's about clearing the path for your prosperity now. ChatGPT said, Catherine Ponder often reminded her readers of a profound, yet simple truth. Your words are seeds. Every time you speak, you plant something in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, which then grows and bears fruit in your outer life. She boldly stated, words are the most powerful instrument for good or ill that we have. This statement captures the very essence of the law of words, which she saw as one of the most practical yet overlooked spiritual laws of prosperity. Most people underestimate the power of what comes out of their mouth. We've been conditioned to think that words are just casual expressions of how we feel, harmless ways to vent or connect. But Catherine taught that words are creative forces. They are not neutral. They either build up or tear down. She emphasized that your life today is a reflection of the words you've consistently spoken in the past, about yourself, about money, about opportunities, and about the world around you. When you speak words of lack, phrases like, I can't afford it, money doesn't come easily, or I'm always broke, you are affirming those conditions into your reality. Your subconscious mind doesn't have a sense of humor. It doesn't filter out sarcasm or casual complaining. It takes everything you say as a command and begins to align your actions, emotions, and even your perception of reality to match those words. Ponder explained it as a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. She shared a story of a man who constantly complained about his never-ending bills and how he was drowning in debt. Even when he was given unexpected financial help, he would find himself back in the same situation within months. Why? Because his words were programming his subconscious to expect struggle, and that expectation created repeated patterns. On the other hand, Catherine shared powerful examples of people who turned their lives around simply by changing the language they used every day. One woman she worked with used to say, I never have enough. After reading Catherine's teachings, she deliberately replaced that phrase with, I always have more than enough. At first, it felt unnatural, but after repeating it daily for weeks, her mindset shifted, and so did her circumstances. She started noticing small windfalls, unexpected gifts, and better opportunities coming her way. Catherine often said, your words give substance to your thoughts. When you speak abundance, you activate the law of increase. How spoken words shape prosperity. Words direct the subconscious mind. Your subconscious doesn't analyze whether what you're saying is true or not. It simply receives the instruction and works tirelessly to bring it into form. When you say, I can't afford it, your subconscious will make sure you continue to live in ways that validate that statement. But when you declare, I am open to unlimited wealth and opportunities, you set a new instruction, and your subconscious begins seeking evidence to support it. Words influence emotions and vibration. Catherine often reminded readers that your emotional state determines your vibrational state, which determines what you attract. Words are like triggers that generate emotions. If you constantly say it's so hard to make money, you feel frustration and helplessness, lowering your vibration. But if you say, money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways, you feel hopeful and expansive. That emotional shift raises your vibration and makes you a magnet for better experiences. Words create agreements. When you speak, you're making agreements with yourself and the universe. Saying, I'm unlucky with money, is like signing a contract that reinforces lack. But saying, I am favored by divine abundance, is an agreement with prosperity. Catherine encouraged people to listen to their own speech and become aware of the unconscious agreements they were making every day. Prosperity affirmations Catherine recommended. Catherine Ponder didn't just talk about avoiding negative words. She provided specific prosperity affirmations to reprogram the subconscious. She believed affirmations are like spiritual medicine, dissolving old beliefs and planting new ones. Here are some of her most loved examples. I am open and receptive to all the wealth life offers me. There's a lavish supply for every need in my life. I am one with the abundant flow of the universe, and I prosper richly now. Everything and everyone prospers me now, and I prosper everything and everyone in return. I give thanks for ever-increasing abundance in my life. She advised repeating these affirmations daily, especially in the morning when the mind is fresh and in the evening when you're drifting into sleep. She said, your words spoken with feelings sink deeper into your subconscious and begin to produce after their kind. How negative words repel wealth. Ponder also warned about the danger of idle complaints and casual self-deprecation. Every time you say things like, I'm always unlucky, I'm terrible with money, or even jokingly, I'm broke, you are reinforcing scarcity thinking. You may think you're being realistic or funny, but your subconscious takes those statements literally. She often quoted the Bible verse, life and death are in the power of the tongue. From her perspective, this was not just a moral teaching, but a practical prosperity law. Words of fear, resentment, or self-pity create the energy of lack, which then manifests as lack. She told of a businessman who constantly said, I never get the good deals. Even when great opportunities came his way, he either didn't see them or sabotaged them without realizing it. After working with Catherine's teachings, he shifted his language to, I am always in the right place at the right time for my highest good. Within months, he reported that his business partnerships improved and opportunities started finding him instead of the other way around. How to reprogram speech for prosperity. Catherine suggested a three-step process for using the law of words consciously. Awareness. Begin by simply listening to yourself. Catch how often you speak negatively about money, opportunities, or even your own abilities. Don't judge yourself. Just become aware. Cancellation. When you catch yourself saying something limiting, immediately cancel it by saying, that's not my truth. I now speak abundance. This interrupts the old pattern before it sinks deeper. Replacement. Replace the old statement with a prosperity affirmation. For example, instead of, I can't afford it, say, I choose to welcome more wealth into my life. Instead of, money is so hard to earn, say, money comes to me with ease and grace. Catherine encouraged people to practice this consistently until new speech habits formed naturally. Over time, this deliberate use of words shifts not only your subconscious beliefs, but also your feelings and expectations, which then transform your outer results. The power of spoken blessings. One of Catherine's unique teachings was the concept of speaking blessings over your finances, your work, and even other people's success. She suggested saying things like, I bless this money and send it forth to bless others, knowing it returns to me multiplied. I bless this business deal and see it prospering all involved. I bless the success of others, knowing that their good opens the way for my own. By doing this, you shift from envy or competition into a mindset of shared prosperity. Blessing others verbally keeps your energy in harmony with the law of increase. A living example. Catherine shared the story of a woman who was struggling to pay her rent. She realized she constantly complained to her friends about how hard life was. After reading Catherine's chapter on words, she made a firm decision to change her speech. Every day, she affirmed, I am divinely provided for. My every need is met. Within 2 weeks, she received an unexpected job offer that doubled her income. She wrote to Catherine saying, the only thing I changed was my words, and my entire situation changed. This wasn't about magic. It was about aligning her inner dialogue with the vibration of abundance, which then attracted matching experiences. Catherine's key reminder. She often closed her lessons on the law of words with this reminder. Your words are containers of energy. Speak only the good you wish to experience, and you will call it into being. So today, ask yourself, what have I been saying about money, opportunities, and myself? Do my words align with the prosperity I desire? Or are they secretly reinforcing the very conditions I want to escape? If you want your life to change, start by changing your words. Speak as if abundance is already yours. Speak blessings over your finances. Speak with gratitude for what is and what's coming. Little by little, those words will shape your thoughts, your feelings, and ultimately, your reality. Catherine Ponder often said that one of the quickest ways to invite prosperity into your life is to create space for it. She called this the vacuum law of prosperity, a principle based on the idea that nature does not tolerate emptiness. She wrote, nature abhors a vacuum. When you let go of the lesser, the greater must come. This principle is simple yet powerful. If your life is already filled to the brim with clutter, outdated beliefs, or stagnant situations, there's no room for something better to enter. Just as a glass full of muddy water must be emptied before it can be refilled with clean water, your life must release what no longer serves you so that new blessings can take its place. Why letting go attracts the greater? Think about it. If your closet is overflowing with clothes you no longer wear, you probably don't feel the need or the space for new ones. If your mind is cluttered with fear and resentment, it cannot hold visions of abundance. If your schedule is packed with draining obligations, you have no energy to welcome opportunities. Clutter, whether physical, mental, or emotional, acts as an energetic block. Ponder explained that the universe loves order and flow. When you hold on to things that are outdated and used or no longer align with your growth, you create a kind of stagnant energy. But when you release them, you create a vacuum. And the universe rushes to fill that vacuum, often with something better than you imagined. She often shared the story of a woman who desperately wanted new furniture but felt she couldn't afford it. Catherine advised her to give away the old, broken pieces she was clinging to. The woman hesitated at first, wondering if she'd be left with nothing. But after donating her worn-out furniture, within weeks she received a surprise gift. A family friend offered her almost new furniture that perfectly suited her home. The vacuum had worked. Practical ways to apply the vacuum law. Physical decluttering. Start with your environment. Go through your home, workspace, and even your car. Look for things that no longer serve a purpose. Clothes you never wear, papers you'll never need, decor that no longer reflects your style. Catherine suggested blessing these items as you release them. Say, I release this with love, knowing it will bless someone else. I now open space for something greater. She believed that clearing physical clutter shifts energy immediately, creating a sense of lightness and openness that attracts new good. Mental decluttering. Beyond physical stuff, we often carry mental clutter, old worries, replayed arguments, guilt about the past. Ponder reminded us that mental clutter weighs just as heavily as physical clutter. She recommended affirmations like, I release all thoughts of limitation and open my mind to unlimited possibilities. By replacing mental noise with positive, expansive thinking, you make room for new ideas and solutions to flow in. Emotional decluttering. Catherine taught that unforgiveness, resentment, and fear block prosperity as much as physical clutter does. She often said, you cannot receive your highest good with a heart full of grudges. She suggested simple forgiveness prayers to release the emotional heaviness of past hurts. I fully and freely forgive everyone, including myself. I now release the past and move into a future of unlimited good. As you free yourself from old emotional burdens, you naturally create a vacuum for better relationships, better health, and better opportunities. Letting go of outdated commitments. Sometimes the vacuum is about time and energy. Are you holding on to commitments, routines, or even relationships that no longer serve your growth? Catherine believed that saying no to what drains you is a way of saying yes to what aligns with your highest good. Stories of the vacuum at work. Ponder shared countless testimonies of people who applied this law. One man won a higher-paying job, but clung to his old, unfulfilling position out of fear. After reading her teachings, he finally resigned, trusting that something better would come. Within days, he was offered a new position with double the salary. By letting go of the lesser, the greater rushed in. Another woman longed for a loving relationship, but was still emotionally attached to an old, toxic one. She finally released her resentment, forgave the past, and even gave away some old keepsakes that reminded her of heartbreak. Within months, she met someone who matched her vision of a healthy, loving partnership. These stories weren't about luck. They were about alignment. When you create space, you send a powerful signal to the universe. I am ready and willing to receive something better. Why people fear letting go. Many hesitate to create a vacuum because they fear the emptiness. They worry, what if I give this up and nothing better comes? But Catherine encouraged us to trust the universal law of circulation. Just as air rushes to fill a void, prosperity rushes to fill any space you create. She reassured readers, when you dare to release the lesser, the greater will always appear. She used the analogy of pruning a plant. When you trim away the dead branches, it may look bare for a while, but soon it grows back fuller and healthier. In the same way, when you let go of what no longer serves you, whether it's things, thoughts, or relationships, you create room for new life to bloom. Simple decluttering ritual. Here's a simple way to put this law into practice today. Pick one area of your life to clear, your desk, your closet, or even just your wallet. Hold each item and ask yourself, does this reflect who I am becoming? If the answer is no, bless it and release it. Imagine someone else benefiting from it. As you let it go, affirm, I now create space for new and wonderful good to enter my life. Repeat this process mentally and emotionally too. Write down old resentments or fears on a piece of paper, then tear it up or burn it as a symbolic release. Catherine's closing reminder. She often ended this teaching with the gentle reminder, do not cling to the old, for in doing so you block your own good. Trust that as you release, you open the door for new blessings to flow in ways you cannot yet see. So today, take a look around your life. What can you release, physically, mentally, or emotionally, that no longer serves you? What space can you create for the greater good that is waiting for you? The vacuum you create will not stay empty for long. It will be filled, often in ways that exceed your expectations. Catherine Ponder often emphasized that true prosperity unfolds in divine timing, not necessarily on the rigid schedules we set for ourselves. She reminded her readers, when you are ready, what you desire is ready for you. This simple statement carries a profound wisdom. It suggests that the things you are seeking are not far away or withheld, but they are waiting for alignment, waiting for your consciousness, your mindset, and your energy to fully match what you're asking for. In our fast-paced, instant gratification culture, it's easy to feel frustrated when results don't appear as quickly as we'd like. But according to Ponder, delays are not denials. They are often spiritual preparation. The universe is always moving in a precise, orderly way. And when we trust that order, we free ourselves from the fear of missing out or the anxiety of falling behind. Why timing matters in manifestation. Manifestation is not simply about asking and receiving. It's about becoming the person who is ready to receive. Imagine planting a seed. No matter how much you water it, it won't grow into a strong, healthy plant overnight. It takes time for the seed to sprout, for the roots to strengthen, and for the conditions to align. In the same way, when you hold a clear intention for prosperity, it may take time for your inner beliefs to align, for external situations to rearrange, and for your readiness to meet the opportunity that is forming. Catherine believed that divine timing is rooted in universal intelligence, a wisdom far greater than our limited human perspective. When something you desire seems delayed, it could be because you are still developing the qualities you need to handle it. Something even better than you imagined is being prepared. External circumstances are shifting to create the perfect conditions. This understanding allows you to shift from frustration to trust, trusting the invisible process. Ponder taught that faith is the bridge between your desire and its fulfillment. She often wrote about the importance of maintaining expectancy even when there is no outer evidence. When you truly believe that what you desire is already on its way, you don't obsessively check for proof. You simply continue aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with it. She gave a powerful example of a woman who prayed daily for financial stability but felt anxious every time she checked her bank account. Catherine advised her to stop looking at the current lack and start affirming, I trust in divine timing. What I need comes to me in the perfect way at the perfect moment. Within weeks, the woman received an unexpected opportunity that provided her with exactly what she needed. It didn't happen by rushing or worrying. It happened by releasing the fear of time. Patience is not passive. When Catherine spoke of patience, she didn't mean sitting idly and waiting for miracles to drop from the sky. She meant active patience, continuing to do what you can in the present moment while trusting the unfolding of the bigger picture. For example, if you're waiting for a new job, you still prepare your resume, network, and improve your skills. If you are waiting for more financial prosperity, you still manage what you have wisely. Keep your mind focused on abundance and stay open to opportunities. Patience is not laziness, it is confidence in the process. She explained it like this. When you plant seeds in a garden, you don't dig them up the next day to see if they're growing. You trust the natural process, knowing they will sprout in their season. So it is with your desires. They bloom when the time is right. Balancing faith and expectancy. Faith without expectancy can feel like hollow hope, and expectancy without faith can turn into anxiety. The balance comes when you hold both together. Faith says, I know it's done on a higher level, even if I can't see it yet. Expectancy says, I am open and ready to receive in the best possible way. Ponder encouraged affirmations like, I trust the divine timing of my life. What is meant for me arrives with ease, grace, and perfect order. These words help calm the restless mind that wants everything now. They remind you that your good cannot miss you. It will arrive precisely when you are ready to hold it. Delays as spiritual preparation. Many people shared stories with Catherine about how their delays turn out to be blessings. She once told of a man who desperately wanted to sell his house. Months passed with no buyers. He was frustrated, thinking perhaps prosperity principles didn't work. But during that time, he unexpectedly received a promotion that allowed him to move to a better location. When he finally sold the house, he was able to buy a new home that was beyond what he had originally envisioned. The delay aligned him with something greater than his initial plan. She also spoke of a young woman who longed for a loving relationship. She felt disheartened by the time it seemed to be taking. But in that period of waiting, she focused on her self-growth, healed old patterns, and deepened her sense of self-worth. When she finally met her partner, she was in a much healthier place emotionally, ready to sustain the kind of relationship she had always desired. This is why Catherine said, delays are often divine protection or preparation. What feels like a pause is sometimes the universe aligning you with more than you asked for. How to work with divine timing. Release the timeline. Stop obsessing over when. The moment you attach fear or urgency to time, you create resistance. Instead, affirm that things are unfolding in perfect order. Stay present. Focus on what you can do now rather than worrying about the future. Enjoy the journey of growth and learning that is happening right now. Trust the process. Remind yourself that the universe has infinite ways to bring your desire to you. What you want may arrive in a way that surprises you, and that's okay. Celebrate small signs. Notice small synchronicities, unexpected help, or tiny improvements in your situation. These are breadcrumbs showing you that your good is moving toward you. Catherine's gentle reassurance. She often reassured her readers with words like, nothing good is ever lost. What belongs to you cannot be withheld, and it will come to you at the right time and in the right way. She emphasized that your role is not to control the timing, but to remain aligned with the feeling of already having it. When you live in peace, gratitude, and expectancy, you create a magnetic atmosphere that draws your desire to you naturally. So, if something you're waiting for hasn't yet arrived, don't let impatience or fear take over. See this time as sacred preparation. Know that the universe is rearranging things on your behalf. And trust, with quiet confidence, that when you are ready, what you desire is ready for you too. Living in permanent prosperity. Catherine Ponder taught that prosperity is not a one-time achievement, nor is it something you manifest occasionally like a quick fix. Instead, it's a state of being, a continuous flow that becomes as natural as breathing. She believed that true wealth is not only material, but also spiritual, emotional, and relational. Prosperity is your divine heritage. You need only claim it. This simple yet powerful statement reminds us that abundance is not something outside of you. It is part of your very nature. So how do you move beyond the mindset of temporary manifesting into living permanently in the flow of prosperity? It begins with understanding that prosperity is not a destination, but a lifestyle. Moving beyond temporary manifesting. Many people treat prosperity as a fix for current need. Praying or visualizing only when they want to pay a bill, attract a specific sum of money, or resolve a crisis. While those practices work, Catherine emphasized that lasting prosperity comes when you build a mindset and lifestyle rooted in abundance every single day. It's like tending to a garden. You don't plant seeds once and expect them to grow forever without care. You cultivate, water, and nurture them continuously. When prosperity becomes who you are rather than something you chase, you stop worrying about if or when good things will come. You live in calm expectancy, knowing the universe always supports you. Daily prosperity practices. Catherine offered simple, yet powerful daily practices that align you with the permanent flow of prosperity. These practices are not rituals of desperation. They are habits of joyful connection with universal abundance. Gratitude. Gratitude is the key that unlocks more. When you give thanks for what you already have, you send a powerful signal to your subconscious and the universe that you are open to more. Even when things seem limited, Catherine encouraged giving thanks as if the desired result had already arrived. She said, "Gratitude is the oil that makes the wheels of prosperity turn smoothly." Visualization. Catherine believed that imagination is your workshop for creating future experiences. When you visualize, you impress the subconscious with images of the life you want. She suggested taking a few minutes each day to picture yourself living with ease, surrounded by all the resources you need, feeling peaceful and fulfilled. Over time, those mental pictures translate into reality because the mind always seeks to match what it holds consistently. Circulation. Prosperity must flow. Just like the circulation of blood keeps the body healthy, the circulation of money and resources keeps life abundant. Holding on to money tightly, fearing loss, creates stagnation. Catherine encouraged giving, tithing, or sharing in ways that feel joyful because it opens the channel for more to return. When you release what you hold tightly, you make room for something better, she reminded. Forgiveness. Resentment, guilt, and grudges block the flow of prosperity. Forgiveness clears the mental and emotional clutter that keeps abundance away. Catherine taught that forgiving financial wrongs, or even your own past mistakes, frees you to receive new blessings. You don't forgive for the sake of the other person. You forgive to release yourself and open your heart. Prosperity as a lifestyle. When you combine gratitude, visualization, circulation, and forgiveness, prosperity stops being something you do occasionally and becomes a way of living. You begin to notice a shift in your thoughts, emotions, and even the opportunities that show up. Money becomes less of a worry because you trust the flow. Relationships improve because you approach them with love rather than fear. Ideas and solutions come more easily because your mind is no longer cluttered with lack thinking. Catherine explained that prosperity multiplies when it is shared. When you help others prosper, whether by encouragement, generosity, or simply holding a loving thought for their success, you reinforce your own abundance. It becomes a beautiful cycle. You give, you receive, you grow, and then you give even more, living as if it's already done. One of her most powerful reminders was that prosperity is your divine heritage. It's not something you have to beg for. You don't have to prove you're worthy. You already are. You simply have to claim it through your thoughts, feelings, and actions. When you start living as if you're already abundant, your external reality eventually catches up. This doesn't mean reckless spending or pretending. It means carrying yourself with dignity, gratitude, and confidence, knowing that life supports you. Becoming a channel of endless flow. When you embrace this way of living, you stop seeing prosperity as a limited supply. You realize there is no competition because the universe is infinitely creative. You're not taking from anyone else. You're creating more for yourself and, by extension, for others. In this state, you become a channel of endless flow. Good comes to you and through you. Catherine Ponder summarized this beautifully. When you learn to live richly, you will not only have more, but you will also become more loving, more peaceful, more expansive, more free. So, let this be your reminder today. Prosperity is not a momentary event. It's a lifelong partnership with the energy of abundance. Through your daily mindset, your loving actions, and your willingness to give and receive, you align yourself with a flow that never ends. If this resonates with you, take a moment to reflect on how you can start living in permanent prosperity today. What small step can you take, whether it's gratitude, forgiveness, or circulation, to open that flow a little more. And before you go, if you found this message uplifting, like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring teachings that help you unlock abundance in every area of life. Your journey into permanent prosperity is just beginning. Stay connected and let's grow together.